Very good evening and welcome to this evening's Cabinet meeting on Tuesday the 14th of May. My name is Councillor David Thomas and I'm here to chair this evening's Cabinet member and the leader of the Council. Fantastic to see so many people also joined with us in the virtual room this evening. So before we start, and particularly for the people in the physical room, I would just remind you about housekeeping. We are not expecting a fire alarm, so should the alarm sound, please leave via the nearest exit and gather in the car park next to the library. And can I ask if you would please ensure that all mobile phones and electronic devices are turned to silent. Thank you. I'll pass across to our clerk, who will explain how this evening's meeting will run.
Thank you, Chair. Please note we are operating hybrid meeting arrangements with officers and councillors who are not members of the Cabinet having the option to join the meeting remotely. The meeting is also being live streamed via the Council's YouTube channel. Please can I remind everyone to use their microphones when speaking and to turn them off when finished. Please can attendees present in person refrain from watching the live stream or joining the Zoom link, as this will cause interference for our viewers. Anyone attending the meeting remotely must use their raise hand function when they wish to speak and to declare any interest at the appropriate time. If anyone attending the meeting remotely loses connection, the meeting will continue and you will have the option to follow the meeting via the YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. So we'll start off with apologies for absence.
I have none, Chair.
Thank you. Item 2, the minutes, to confirm as a correct record the minutes of this Cabinet meeting on the 25th of April. Happy to move that from the Chair. Councillor Lewis, happy to second?
Very happy to second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Move to the vote. All those in favour, please indicate.
That's unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much. Move on to disclosure of interests for any member who has a pecuniary or a non-pecuniary interest to please raise their hand at this point and declare that. Thank you. None noted. I can inform you that there are no urgent items this evening, so we will move straight on to item 6, which is a public question. This evening we have received a public question from Colette O'Brien. Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. You have 5 minutes to present your question. I will let you know when you have 30 seconds left. And please note that the time limit that you have includes time for any supplementary question that you may have after you've heard the answer. Thank you very much. In your own time.
Could I have a show of hands for those here re Brixham Breakwater development, please? And thank you. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now? I just asked for hands up for those here regarding Brixham Breakwater development. My question was, have officers involved a Brixham councillor in any of the meetings regarding the Brixham Breakwater development which have taken place with the developers team? If not, why not? Brixham needs a voice to ensure we have an accessible to all beach for our continuing strong tourist trade, as well as for locals, water sports and well-being.
Thank you very much indeed for your question. Councillor Chris Lewis will provide a response for you.
Thank you very much indeed, Colette O'Brien, for the question that you've put to the Cabinet. Meetings have taken place between the tenant and Torbay Council. These meetings have covered planning, pre-application and landlord issues, which are the responsibility of Torbay Council as the planning authority and landlord. These matters are operational matters for officers to undertake. However, the tenant has been encouraged to work closely with the local community and the Town Council, and in addition, Torbay councillors for Brixham wards have been briefed on matters. I hope this response is helpful for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. You have opportunity for a supplementary question, as long as it is relevant to the original question and within your 5 minutes. You do have 3 minutes and 58 seconds remaining, so quite a long time. Would you like to ask a supplementary question?
Why wasn't a local councillor who knows this beach and car park, because they would have known how extremely precious it is to the people of Brixham and its tourist trade. A local councillor could have expressed the town's desire to protect this area for its community value and Brixham's tourist trade. Our Brixham Breakwater Beach and Car Park is an integral part of Brixham town. It's Brixham's only accessible for all beach, blue flagged, and in a conservation area, a geopark, treasured for its inspiring natural environment, which I believe is very precious to Torbay Council and part of their mission and view. Treasured by locals, water sports participants, which is highly popular and gaining popularity, and tourists. Why wasn't a local councillor initially involved in any talks?
Thank you very much. Councillor Lewis will provide a response to your supplementary question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and again, thank you to you, Colette. We certainly know how important this site is to the people of Brixham. The leader of the council and I did go down and meet the tenants at Breakwater, and we made it very clear to them how important this site was to the people of Brixham. We also encouraged them at a very early stage to engage with Brixham Town councillors and, of course, Torbay councillors. This, I think, they did, but of course, we, as Torbay Council, can only encourage the tenants to do that. We have not got the power to force them. Once and if they put in a planning application, clearly then it becomes more of an official consultation where consultation will feed into that report. So I can assure you and to the people in this room and the people online that we would encourage them to do everything possible to talk to the residents, to the town council and to Torbay Brixham councillors.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. We will move on to item 7, which is the nomination to list Breakwater Car Park, Berryhead Road, Brixham, TQ5 9AF as an asset of community value. Councillor Jackie Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. The Council has received a nomination to list Breakwater Car Park in Brixham as an asset of community value. Under the legislation, a community has a right to identify a building or other land that they deem to be of importance to their community's social well-being. To be listed, the land must be nominated by an organisation with a local connection. This application has been made by an unincorporated group of 21 Torbay residents, known as the Breakwater Beach Community Group. Although this is a car park, which wouldn't necessarily be deemed an asset of community value under the legislation, due to its location adjacent to the beach, it has met the criteria. This land can be seen to further the social well-being or social interests of the local community, and it is realistic to think that the future use of the car park will continue to be used in a way that will further social well-being or social interests of the community. I can see from today's attendance from the residents and the Breakwater Beach Community Group from Brixham that they are passionate and very keen to have this piece of land listed as a community asset, of which I personally fully support. And I appeal to my Cabinet colleagues from around this table this evening to also lend their support and vote in favour of this application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Billings, I understand that you would wish to second this.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I do. I'd like to explain to the Cabinet and also to the audience first where I'm coming from in relation to this particular issue, in relation to my close interest in Brixham. I was the Vice Chairman of the Brixham Peninsula Neighbourhood Plan Forum, which tried to give effect to the town and village's desire to protect many areas which the community considered special. I was part of the team that devised the slogan to promote the plan, saying, "Vote yes, protect green space," which drew on the community's expressed preference to protect green space in their local area. One of the reasons why I'm now a councillor is because previously, though, I was personally disappointed in how much the local council failed to fully implement what I saw as the expressed preferences of people from the town of Brixham and from the surrounding villages. I'll use examples. So previously we had our council supporting the detailed planning application at Inglewood. Previously we had our council closing the main road into Brixham. And previously we had our council pushing forward an original layout for the Brokenbury Solar Farm, which was against the express preferences of the village, and it was against the express preferences of Brixham Town Council. Since I've been a councillor, I've been delighted to be able to address what I considered some of the failings that we'd had in this area. I've been delighted that we've been able to address imbalances in relation to cleaning of the town centres, so that Brixham Town Centre now gets the same attention as Paignton and Torquay through our Brighter Bay initiative, where we've put an extra 75,000 of cleaning into Brixham. From that background, I would hope, Cabinet colleagues, you could understand where I'm coming from when I rise to support entirely the motion that my colleague Councillor Thomas has put forward. We have before us in the revised report at section 1.2.1 clear explanation that a car park can be considered an asset of community value. In this example, it is the special characteristics of this car park, because of its close location to the beach, because of the ability it provides for cultural and recreational uses, that mean it is not like our average car park. It has a special affinity with that area that is used for recreational purposes and has community value. So what we have before us is a motion that I would encourage members we should support. It's part of the jigsaw to implement the expressed community preference that we heard our speaker refer to, and what the members of the audience are here to demonstrate by their physical presence. I would say it's part of the jigsaw. Equally, our local MP for that part of the Bay, Anthony Mangnall MP, is promoting a town and village green status. That relates to the beach. I stress this is in relation to the car park. And whilst that is going on, I think it's really important that we support this proposal to list this area as an asset of community value. It meets the criteria, and I think we should support the community views. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Billings. Before I seek other views from around the Cabinet table, I am just going to move outside of the Cabinet table. I know that Councillor Anna Tolshard would like to speak. We'll ask other members from outside of the Cabinet before we come back in. So, Councillor Anna Tolshard.
Thank you, Chair. You won't be able to see me, or most of you can't see me. I'm sitting behind the screen with the virtual attendance on it. But I'm here actually as the councillor for St Peter's and St Mary's Ward to support the Breakwater Beach Community Group's application to designate the Breakwater car park as an asset of community value. Breakwater Beach, as we all know... Sorry? Oh, you can see me on the screen, you can. So it's double-sided. Breakwater Beach, as we all know, is very precious, as Councillor Billings has underlined, to the residents of Brixham. And that's underlined by the number of residents that have come along this evening to support the application, particularly as tonight, actually, the AGM of the Brixham Community Partnership will be held at 7 o'clock, and I know a lot of you would normally attend that. I'm hoping to get there myself in time for the main body of that meeting. But the car park is fundamental in enabling the easy access to the beach for residents, visitors, and all those who participate in the various activities using the beach. And I would therefore urge my Cabinet colleagues, although I'm rather hoping that they're already encouraged, to approve the recommendation that Breakwater car park be designated as an asset of community value. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. So, staying outside of the Cabinet table at this point, any more hands? Okay, in which case I'll come back into the Cabinet. Any further comments? Councillor Lewis.
Mr Chairman, I answered Colette O'Brien's question and supplementary. Can I just emphasise the fact that we will be encouraging at every stage that the tenant, if he wishes to go further on this project, that he consults with the local residents, the town council and Torbay council. It is imperative that they take people with them. As Councillor Billings said, and Councillor Thomas, we've done a lot for Brixham. We want to help Brixham, and we want to work together with everyone to provide a better Brixham. And one way of doing it is all working together. If we work in silos, we get nowhere. So if this goes ahead, we've got to make sure that we consult with everyone possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. So I'm going to move to the vote. The recommendation on the table is that the Breakwater car park be designated as an asset of community value. All those in favour, please indicate.
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. That is approved. We will move on to item 8. If you wish to stay with us this evening, ladies and gentlemen, you'd be very welcome. If you have other meetings to go to, I fully understand. If people want to leave, I will give a couple of moments just to allow you to leave with as little disruption as possible. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, and welcome back to the Cabinet meeting. We are on item 8. Delighted to see so many people still staying with us in the virtual room this evening. Item 8 is Next Step Properties at Ryan Place. Councillor Tyerman.
Thank you. Shall we wait a moment until the noise
Sorry, can we
subsides?
have a little bit of quiet while the meeting continues, please? Thank you indeed.
They'll be gone in 30 seconds.
The screen is only showing people eating their tea and just sat there. We haven't seen anything in the room except this. That's so wrong. We don't know who voted for what.
Thank you, Councillor Tyerman.
Thank you. This proposal in front of us this evening is to seek approval to dispose of 2 properties in Ryan Place, both of which would be disposed of in excess of the £50,000 limit set in the officer's scheme of delegation. The council was successful in obtaining government grant through the Next Steps Accommodation Programme, and of the 14 properties acquired at that time, these are 2. Whereas the programme in general has been highly successful and has improved the accommodation for those that had the benefit of living in them, these 2 properties at Ryan Place have resulted in a significant impact upon other residents, and despite many efforts to try and appease the situation, we've been unable to remove the problems that have been occurring. As such, it's proposed to dispose of these 2 properties as soon as they become vacant, replacing them with properties elsewhere. This will have to wait, as said, till they become vacant, because we are unable to ask the current tenants to leave. That therefore could take a number of months and is largely out of our control. The important thing is that the programme continues to be successful in achieving its objectives, and we as a council will reinvest the money that's been gained by these sales in acquiring new properties and continuing the programme as quickly as we are able.
Thank you indeed, Councillor Tyerman. And I'm happy to second this one from the chair. I think all political parties have had some involvement with, and I wouldn't say 1 or 2 residents in Ryan Place. I think it's probably with every resident in Ryan Place. It's been a little bit of an ongoing saga. I think it is worth remembering that there has been some great successes in the programme outside of this particular property, but we do have ongoing issues that have kind of brought us to this particular position. And for reference, the recommendation this evening is 1, that the 2 properties owned by Torbay Council at Ryan Place, 62 St Mary Church Road, Torquay, be disposed of as soon as the properties become vacant, and 2, that the Chief Executive be given delegated authority to use the money from the sales of the 2 properties at Ryan Place to purchase new properties for next step accommodation in compliance with the original grant criteria. Okay, as I say, happy to second that. And in the same way, with the first item, I went outside of the cabinet. I'm going to do exactly the same with the second item as well, because I feel probably that Councillor Long certainly would like to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And just to give some background and context, the last council administration in 2019 inherited a situation where the previous to its administration, the previous mayoral administration had spent more on luxury beach huts and affordable housing, and we wanted to try and tackle sort of homelessness and affordable housing issues, and we took up the Next Steps government programme and bid for that. And I think, as has been said, the vast majority of the scheme has been successful. It is quite right that the council should learn the lessons from this scheme, and it was quite right that whilst it was right that we entered that agreement and did get those flats from the government Next Steps programme, we should take up those concerns. And I know that Councillor George Darling, the ward councillor, has mentioned a couple of concerns with me. One of the issues seems to have been that the social housing landlord was telling residents to take matters up with the police, and there seemed to have been concerns about the police not recording or logging concerns that were raised, and so therefore the social housing landlord was reporting that the police hadn't logged any issues, and therefore there weren't any problems. And I was just wondering, how are we taking up concerns like that, so when the funds are recycled for the next programme of new accommodation, how are we ensuring that those issues don't reoccur? What is the learning point from that, and what's been put in place to ensure that similar issues that don't arise again? Another concern, as I lived through a lot of this at the time, there were a lot of concerns and fears whipped up politically, which didn't help either. So the less about that would be better. Those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor. Move across to Councillor Maddison, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that I think that the Ryan Place story is one of those issues from the past that display really how decisions can be made without a view on the wider implications. And it's something that I have suggested in the past, and I hope that we can explore as a council to try and put in place methods of ensuring that decision making does improve with that sort of wider aspect. And various things I've suggested is that we should not, for example, do any element of business with that might impinge on other sections of society without really understanding what those impacts might be, and trying to figure out as a starter for 10 what adage you might add to the list of requirements for officers when conducting their business. I'm suggesting that we might consider that they have the principle of do no harm in mind, which might just sort of help them to have pause when making decisions. I'm sure there are better ways to do this, but it is my proposal that we do look for ways to ensure that decisions taken by the council do not take place in a void without a view of the wide implications. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Come back to the Cabinet now, and back to Ryan Place. Any other comments around the table? Councillor Billings.
Thank you, Chair. I think this is a very obvious decision. Clearly, at the moment, not only given the issues that are being caused there, which we need to address as a council, being responsible to our residents, but also in relation to the time and the diversion of resources that are currently being focused on that could be focused somewhere else doing something much more productive. We clearly need to address this. Delighted to support this in due course. I do think, and I notice from my own portfolio that the amount of attention that we place on decisions as a council, we're really needing to focus on the detail, and perhaps this is one of those where historically, as we were learning we didn't fully understand previously when this was being implemented, with all good intentions. And I think reflecting that going forwards in terms of some guidance is, I'm sure, something that Councillor Timon is doing internally. So I'd be delighted to support this in due course, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Bye.
Thank you so very much. And I seem to think I actually supported the next steps and took a bit of a hit in popularity, not for the first time. If I'm correct, there's a property in Chelston that was part of it. And I supported that very definitely at the planning, at a very hostile planning meeting. I don't think even those of us in the cabinet were necessarily all on the same side. So but things move on. So it was a project that was absolutely all about supporting some of the most vulnerable people to give them the opportunity for accommodation. It was very, very well intentioned, and my understanding is the property in Chelston and others, there have not been this issue. But it's simply, without saying the wrong thing, it hasn't worked out in this particular location, because the building, which I know well, and I know people who've lived there, is of a particular style and character, with residents perhaps of a particular demography, and it just hasn't worked in a purpose-built block of flats that's predominantly occupied by retired people for a quiet life, and the behaviour of others has caused a little bit of a challenge. That's the politest way of putting it. So, I don't think you can always predict how things are going to work out. I think the decision made was well intentioned, but this does seem to be a sensible decision. When the flats become vacant, they're sold off, but absolutely we must replace that accommodation as quickly as we can, because there's a great need of accommodation for people in that vulnerable position to ensure that they have a roof over their head. So thank you so much.
Thank you indeed, Councillor. So we are going to move to the vote. I have read out the recommendation, part 1 and part 2. All those in favour, please indicate.
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. We move on to the final item this evening, which is item 9. And this is the Cabinet's response to a report that came from the Adult Social Care and Health Overview and Scrutiny Sub-Board regarding dementia support in Torbay. It was a spotlight review, and a number of questions were raised. Councillor Tranter.
Thank you. Before I read out the recommendations that I'm hoping to get your support on, I'd just like to acknowledge that this was the last ONS that was chaired by Councillor Patrick Joyce, and as usual, he did a great job. He was always very professional, and I know in the early days we had many discussions over our mutual interest of adult social care and public health, and nobody would have known he was poorly. He was the utmost professional, and that's how I'll always remember him. It was the best, most attended ONS, and I think we need to also thank Lee Baxter, because I know he put a lot of effort in getting a lot of agencies together for that. And it really was probably one of the best ONSs and most thorough ONSs I've ever been to, and it gives confidence for the future of what's happening in Torbay for those sufferers of the disease and their carers, especially around the work that's happening at the Rowcroft site. Yes, I just felt that needed some attention bringing to it. So on the 14th of March, the Adult Social Care Health Overview and Scrutiny Sub-Board undertook a spotlight review on dementia to understand support and services available to people living with dementia and for those caring for those living with dementia in Torbay, together with the challenges currently faced and how this could be improved. Evidence was heard from many agencies across the whole of South Devon and Torbay, which resulted in the following recommendations. To support the co-production with a wider dementia strategy with specific interest in ensuring that Torbay residents can easily access information, advice and support through a joint organisational approach. For the Cabinet Member of Adult Social Care, Public Health and Inequalities and Communities to write to the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care and the Chair of the Integrated Care System for Devon to highlight the need for advanced dementia care, which is innovative and which can provide efficient services for Torbay, being a coastal resort with an ageing population facing an increased insufficient bed shortages, particularly for those living with dementia. To request that the Director of Adult and Community Services scope with access to training that exists across the voluntary sector, carers and domiciliary care agencies, and explores with Torbay and South Devon NHS Trust provision of wider access to online portal training for dementia awareness and support. And finally, to request that the Director of Adult Social Care ensures that there is a link to information for the Alzheimer's Society regarding HIV-associated neurocognitive disorder on the Council's webpage, HIV-associated neuro disorders and Alzheimer's Society is all has links on the webpage. So we need to remember that for the residents of Torbay, it isn't just about ageing well, but it's about living well, and this certainly is going to support all of that. And I know there's a lot of agencies working towards the Torbay residents living well. So tonight I hope to get your support and your vote to approve these recommendations. Many thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I understand that Councillor Bye will be seconding this report this evening.
Thank you so much, Chairman, and I'm very pleased to second this. And it's a very good report. I think it does outline the challenges, not just in Torbay, but nationally. There was a television programme last night by chance on this particular subject, which was very interesting indeed. So it is a huge challenge to meet the needs of those with dementia and those who care for those with dementia. The report is very well written. The bit that excited me the most was, as I've discussed with Councillor Tranter prior to coming into the room this evening, the detail of the proposals of the Rowcroft Hospice to have a dementia facility, almost like a dementia village, which is the future. So I was a little bit surprised that there isn't a recommendation relating to what seemed to me the most positive part of the report, which was to outline all the ambitious plans at Rowcroft, which I would personally support, and I think most people in the room would support, because it will meet a need and it will be something world class. It will be something that we can all be hugely proud of. So we've had the overview and scrutiny sub-board's recommendations and our response to those recommendations, which I do support, but I would like to note, if it's possible to note, within the report, the very positive mention of the plans for Rowcroft and the dementia facilities that they intend to put on their site there, because I think that's hugely important for Torbay. Thank you.
Councillor Bye, you are able to add a paragraph or a sentence before or after the current recommendation, and as long as Councillor Tranter is happy to approve that, the endorsement of the dementia village at Rowcroft, something along the lines of that.
Well, I think we would all like to support the plans highlighted in the overview and scrutiny report for the dementia facility at Rowcroft, which is a much needed facility for Torbay residents and South Devon residents. So if Councillor Tranter is happy with that addition, I'd be very pleased.
Thank you. Councillor Tranter.
I completely agree. Absolutely. I'm happy to work with the directors as well to get something put together, because I completely agree the work that is going on at Rowcroft is almost futuristic. It's something that happens somewhere else. It's not something that happens in Torbay. And when it is complete, it's going to be amazing. An amazing facility. Like you said, it's going to be almost like a dementia village. So yeah, we're really looking forward to work starting on that. So absolutely, I agree that we could get something put there.
Thank you very much. So we have now incorporated that within our recommendation. So bearing that in mind, do we have any more debate around the table? Councillor Billings.
Thank you, Chairman, again. Delighted again to support this. I would really draw attention not just to the minor revision in relation to the important addition that Councillor Bai has raised, but also the importance of recommendation 1 and 4. And both of those, if we think about what they're actually getting at, they're ensuring access to information for our wider community, not just to support the fantastic work that's being done by Rowcroft and others, but also ensuring that that we disseminate this information to those that might not necessarily be fully understanding the support that there's there, that the council can provide, that others can provide. And I think certainly in relation to the implementation of paragraph 4, we don't just want to put the information on the website. We also want to be working carefully with those that are involved in doing that to ensure, as we have on the planning side of things, that the information's there in a very obvious location, and it's not just this recommendation, but that ensuring that our administration follows through and gets the detailed work done behind the scenes. So delighted to support this, but I think it's not just the work that Rowcroft are doing, it's ensuring this information is out there to the wider community for those that are starting to have the issues with sufferers in their families and are reaching out at this early stage needing support. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any more comments before I move to the vote? Okay, so moving to that vote, including that additional recommendation that we've put in. All those in favour, please indicate.
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. And at 11 minutes past 6, that is this meeting closed. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a pleasant evening.